Tuesday afternoon to you, 4 o'clock time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a good afternoon. Fox Sports college football analyst Joel Clatt with what he thinks about Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback from Colorado.
What you hear about Shedeur and then what you experience when you talk and meet with him are two different things. And he's incredibly personable, very intelligent, team-oriented. He's tough. That's the one thing. You can't question his toughness. You can't question his accuracy. And in the day and age in college football, and I think that, I think people that are more NFL people are starting to realize this. Every offense in college scripts winners for their quarterback. So it's hard to find tape and find a guy that has been asked to sit in the pocket and read things out to 2, 3, 4 in the progression. It's really hard. He's been asked to do that by Pat Shurmur in that offense. So his transition, I actually think, is going to have less volatility than maybe some other players that try to transition to the National Football League. I do like his fit in New Orleans, but I just think the Giants have to have an answer at quarterback. Whether it's their first pick in the first round or whether it's their next pick in the second round, and I think Cleveland's in that boat as well. Those two teams have to find a quarterback. And because of that, I don't think they're both going to pass in the first round, because if they do, they are gambling.
Absolutely. We've been saying it for a couple of weeks. The only pick that the Browns control is 2. The only pick that the Giants control is 3. After that, you've got the Saints now, the Steelers, other teams looking at quarterbacks later in that first round. Former NFL quarterback Brian Hoyer, Cleveland native, with a quarterback that he likes a little bit later in the draft.
You have Myles Garrett, you add Abdul Carter, bolster the defense, and then to me, you go out and you get a quarterback in the second round. And Ken, you know who I like as a potential guy to come in and now learn under Flacco.
Tell everyone.
Another big guy, and it's Will Howard. And I've liked him up to this point, watching him on film. I've liked what he did in that college football playoff run. And the more I watch him, whether it's the Gruden show, whether it's Hey Rookie with the NFL, he just has this, I don't want to call it, but the personality. I think guys are going to be drawn to him. I think he has leadership skills. He has, as the young kids might call it, aura. The more I watch the kid, the more I listen to him, the more I like him. And I don't think there's this big separation from him, Jackson Dart, Shuck to me, he's a winner. You saw on Gruden comparing him. He's the same size as Josh Allen. He doesn't have nearly as strong of an arm as Josh Allen, but to me, he's a versatile quarterback who's going to drop back, look to throw the ball. And if it's not there, he can pull it down and run. He can scramble. We saw the touchdown in the national championship game. They all collapsed on him. He throws it back across the middle. It was a very Josh Allen-esque play. And so to me, you have a guy now in Joe Flacco who can solidify your quarterback room. You go out, you get your best player at 2, and then you figure out a way to get Will Howard at some point.
And again, the Browns in the quarterback position in this draft, which is now a little over a week away, next Thursday's round 1, be interesting to find out and see exactly what Andrew Berry is thinking. Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State, a little bit of insight with his personal visit to the Browns.
How good are you?
Pretty good.
Good?
I'm good at like everything I do.
Yeah, no, I know that. What about chess? Yeah?
I'm good at that too. So on my 30 visit, I beat the Browns head coach.
In chess?
Yeah.
I might have to play you sometime.
So Abdul Carter beat Kevin Stefanski in chess during his 30 for 30 visit. Let's see if the Browns coach let him win that, huh? All right, let's turn our attention to the Cavaliers. Brian Windhorst, ESPN's national NBA analyst, looking at what the Cavs need for a deep playoff run.
Their team is built around these 2 all-star guards.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Mobley plays a very important role, but the truth is the team is designed around these guards. The ball is in their hands. They are staggered. There's always one of them on the court. The offense is designed to let them get space, get freedom, make plays, create for others, mix up their game.
Right.
they are not strong defensively. And so the team, again, is designed to protect them on the back line and to, enable them to shine. They were at their absolute best the first 50 games of the year. And that is why the Cavs were virtually unbeatable. You couldn't lay a glove on them. So they were not at their best together in that last 20-ish whatever games, however you want to draw the box. They were good. They had plenty of good nights. They were not at their best. They need to be at their best when they get to the conference finals. I think that they could get through the first 2 rounds, and I respect Milwaukee and Indiana. As you guys know, I think Indiana is going to be a tough out.
Cavs still won't know who they play in that first round. The 7-8 matchups in the play-in tournament are tonight. Winner of that gets the 7th seed. Cavs get the 8th seed. So it's going to be a team that's played a couple of play-in games, and that series will start here at Rocket Arena Sunday. Guardians getting ready to open up a 3-game series in Baltimore against the Orioles. Guardians have won 5 of their last 6. Closer Emmanuel Clatt has struggled early going. He has given up 6 runs in 7 innings, opposing hitters hitting over 400 against Clatt in the early going. Chris Antonetti on MLB Network talking about the Guardians closer.
Yeah, I think it's just a blip for Emmanuel. His stuff quality remains consistent. He's had a bit of bad luck. His batting average on ball in play is historically high, and I think it really comes down to him just maybe locating pitches a little bit better than he has, and some slight modifications to his plan of attack. But I can't think of anyone else we'd rather continue in the 8th or 9th inning when we have a lead.
And just for the things that we were talking about, where you have all this data, especially with pitching and pitchers, you have all these coaches, you have baseball ops. How do you attack that as if it's a problem? Or do you leave the player alone? Is it physical, or is it something that is a team approach to get after?
It's definitely a team approach, but that's one of the things that remains consistent, Brian, is that we're still dealing with people that have individual psychologies and individual mentalities and need to be coached differently. And so we have an extraordinary group of coaches that really knows our player group exceedingly well and is able to help support them in the unique way that they might need. So what support for Emmanuel might look like could be very different than what support for Cade Smith might look like. But our group has had productive conversations with Emmanuel, and I have no doubt he will find his groove and be a force for us in the back end of the pen moving forward this year.
No reason to panic just yet. There is reason for concern, though, with Clatt. The Guardians need Clatt to be that closer if they're going to get done what they want to do, which is go deep into the American League playoffs again. Logan Allen against Charlie Morton to begin a 3-game series in Baltimore against the Orioles tonight. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Browns are up first. Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, straight ahead on Sports4CLE. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program is dedicated to recognizing exceptional students, teachers, and schools throughout Ohio. Scan the QR code on screen to nominate students and teachers as Academic All-Stars and Teachers of the Month. They must be currently enrolled or teach in grades K through 12. Is your K through 12 school developing students' literacy skills to achieve success in reading? If so, you can nominate your school for the School of the Year. Students can win $100, teachers can win $500, and schools can win $2,500. Scan the QR code, fill out the forms, and nominate deserving students, teachers, and schools today. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program takes pride in honoring exceptional students, teachers, and schools across Ohio. Submit your nomination today. It's fun, fast, and free. We begin today by talking Browns on Sports4CLE, and we'll head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Yes, we're all loving Joe Flacco. But if you look back at his first season with Cleveland, every team he faced was below 500 for the exception of one, and that was the Texans. And they turned around and took him to school in the playoffs. So we shouldn't be all that excited about this, but he's better than what we had. Go Browns.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Mary Kay, we talked about the quarterbacks that they faced and all that. The simple fact of the matter is he's a guy who's played a lot of games in the NFL, and that's something the Browns need on their roster.
Right. And there was something about Kevin Stefanski's offense, this scheme, this supporting cast, this offensive line, and this defense that sort of brought out the best in Joe Flacco. And I have every reason to believe that that's going to happen again. It was just a fit here in every way, shape, or form. And unless he's really lost a bunch just since that time that he was here, I think he will flourish again in this scheme. They're going to bolster the offense even a little bit more. So I think he'll be just fine. But having said that, I really do think that the Browns see something in Kenny Pickett that they absolutely love, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is the opening day starter.
So I know you wrote an article. What do you think the Joe Flacco signing means for potentially Shedeur Sanders and Kenny Pickett?
Well, first of all, I have been waffling a little bit on Shedeur Sanders at number 2 overall. I mean, I hate to say it. I have stuck to my guns all the way up to this point, but just throwing everything into the hopper that I've heard over the last couple of weeks makes me think that they're coming off of that position a little bit. We will hear from Andrew Berry on Thursday, but right now it seems to me as though they are shifting a little bit away from Shedeur Sanders at number 2, maybe a little bit more towards Travis Hunter. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. But I think what this means with Joe Flacco signing, that if they do go with more of a developmental quarterback, one of those second-tier guys, it gives them a little breathing room to develop the young rookie and to give him some time to get up to speed. So now they will have Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, maybe kind of battling it out a little bit for the starting job, and then one of those younger quarterbacks taking their time and easing his way in a bit.
So word came out earlier today that the Giants were headed to Boulder for a private workout with Shedeur Sanders. Here's Peter Schrager, ESPN Get Up, his thoughts about it.
There's something to this. Look, they have already sent 13 different people, Greeny, to the pro day at Colorado, meaning there's a GM, obviously, but a coaching staff and the front office personnel. They went to many of his games in person. Joe Schoen attended a Colorado practice in person. And I could tell you that this private workout is not just for show. They want to do the full due diligence on Shedeur Sanders. Is he possibly the 3rd overall pick where they're sitting at? Maybe. Does this also mean they can maybe trade back into the 1st round if they take his teammate Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter with the 3rd overall pick? I would say that's more likely. I'll mention this. They brought him in for a private workout on his top 30 visit. The Giants took him out to dinner, and he had that experience also. They are getting to know Shedeur Sanders far more than they are getting to know a lot of other prospects in this draft, and I don't take it lightly. And RC, I'm curious your thoughts. When this guy is wearing cleats that have a Giants logo at the bowl game all the way back in January. So there's something to this. What's it mean? 3 overall, or maybe them just interested in whether or not he drops? That could be a likely possibility as well. But the Giants are not wasting their time 9 days from the draft going and flying out to Boulder.
So, Mary Kay, I play that because you wrote an article saying, what does it mean for the Browns that they have this private workout with Shedeur? And remember, the Browns did that with Travis Hunter and Shedeur. So it's not that the Browns haven't done that.
Well, first of all, the Browns, when they spent their private time with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, it was not a workout. It was actually a dinner, and it was a night before the showcase. So they have not actually privately worked out Shedeur or Travis. If they are going to do that, it will happen between now and April 23rd, when they're still allowed to do one of those private workouts at the players' school. So they haven't really done that per se, but that's not because they're not that interested. It's because they felt like they saw what they needed to see to this point at the showcase, and they wanted to get to know them more as people. That's where they're at right now, that they're trying to decide who's a fit, who's a culture fit, who is going to best help take this team to the next level. But certainly, I think it's very significant that the Giants are doing this late workout with Shedeur. As Peter Schrager there mentioned, they're not wasting their time doing this. They're out there because they might take him at number 3 overall. So I think it's significant because they might have some intel, or at least some kind of a vibe or feeling that the Browns are not going to take Shedeur at number 2. Maybe they now believe that they are taking Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter there at number 2. So these are some things to be thinking about, but I think it sort of reinforces my feeling that perhaps Shedeur isn't the man for the Browns at number 2 right now.
Yeah, very fair. The interesting thing, so Joel Clatt, who he's a Fox Sports college football analyst, he's also a Colorado alum. His thoughts on Shedeur Sanders and what he saw from him with the Buffaloes.
I've been closer to this than most, being a Colorado alum. And I was involved in the hiring process, and I know intimately how bad Colorado was before they got there. And as crucial as it was to get Deion there, I think the key to their turnaround and success the last 2 years wasn't technically Deion, it was Shedeur. And this is what I think is lost, because everyone gravitates to kind of the giant gravitational pull of Deion Sanders and Coach Prime. Is like Shedeur was actually the key. It wasn't Travis, and it wasn't Coach, it was Shedeur. Why did they turn around to a 9-win team and a top 25 team 2 years after being a 1-win team that lost by an average of almost 30 points? Shedeur Sanders. So that gets lost a little bit. And what I hope that he takes from his dad, all of his time with his dad throughout his life. Do you remember the answer Deion gave in a press conference? And he said something along the lines of, and forgive me because I'm probably going to butcher it, but he said something along the lines of, "What about me makes you think that I care about what you think about me?"
Yeah.
And it's like, that's exactly what a quarterback needs to have, in the NFL.
And it's really interesting, Mary Kay. I know you've answered this in a Hey Mary Kay. I think I know the answer to it. Do you think Shedeur Sanders has elite qualities to him?
Oh, he definitely has elite qualities to him. And I think that some team is going to take him and be very happy with him. And maybe it's still even the Cleveland Browns. But I do think that there are some things about him that might give the Browns and other teams a little bit of pause. And that is the fact that we know that today's game is trending way more towards the mobile quarterback. He's more of a drop back passer. And for a drop back passer, he doesn't have elite size or arm strength. So you've got to be an incredible processor, which I think he probably is. He counts that as his superpower, the ability to make those quick decisions. But he does take too many sacks. I think that's a concern. And so these are some of the things to be thinking about, but he certainly has plenty of elite qualities.
So again, from your Hey Mary Kays, Tommy Rees emphasized decision-making, most important quality he looks for in a quarterback. Who are some of the quarterbacks in this draft that you think that is the elite thing that they do, is the decision-making?
Well, I definitely think Shedeur is one of those. I think Tyler Shough is one of those because he's played so much football. I think a number of other guys fall into that category, but you have to have the elite physical skills to go along with that decision making. And I'm not exactly certain which other quarterbacks fit that profile of having all of those things together. And maybe there is somebody in this draft that will surprise everybody and be sort of a sleeper in that regard. But I can't really name too many guys that I think have all of the total package.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, and I going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we'll head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Sports for CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hey, the new Mega Millions is coming through any minute now.
It's here.
Bigger jackpots.
50 million?
50 million? New multiplier included.
Better odds?
Bigger wins. All for just
$5?
Let's go!
We continue talking Browns with Mary Kay Cabot from the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, this is Ben from Berea. The Browns made back Nick Chubb and or draft a very good running back. Would that help improve on Joe Flacco's touchdown interception rate, show, and maybe also save him a few hits because the defense has someone else to worry about? Also, I comment that there are interceptions and there are interceptions. If the Browns are 3rd and long on their 40 and Joe throws a ball that is intercepted at the 10, that is not much worse than a punt. But if the Browns are deep in their own territory and he's intercepted 10 yards downfield, that's a lot more impact. That's never shown in statistics. Thank you. Bye.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Mary Kay, the running game in Kevin Stefanski's offense is going to be critical, as is the offensive line. Doesn't matter if it's Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, or a rookie. They will need a running game, and they got to stop turning the ball over. The last 2 years, they're among the worst. I think second worst to the Patriots and the Panthers. I think they're tied with one of them.
Yeah, this past season, they were tied with the Titans with 34 giveaways, and that is just way, way too much. They finished last in the NFL with a -22 turnover differential. It's absolutely ridiculous. So they have to work that from both sides. They have to be able to take the ball away a lot more than they have been doing, and then they've got to stop giving it away. And if they do just that, I've been saying that they'll get to 7 victories just by virtue of winning the turnover differential and the turnover battle a few more times. So it is vitally important. And then as far as running the ball, they'll do that a whole lot more this year. They are moving towards more of the traditional Kevin Stefanski offense this year, while they sort of learn to walk again before they can run. I do think that you're going to see a lot of the elements of his offense that we have seen in the past, and we'll have to see how that goes. And the future will depend on who the quarterback of the future is. But for now, it does seem like they're going back to basics.
So the caller mentioned Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb posted a couple of things today on his Instagram. This is one where it's over 500 pounds that he's squatting. So the knee looks pretty good. The foot looks pretty good if you are able to squat that much weight. Nick Chubb looking like Nick Chubb. He also posted this picture, Batman, the whole Batman thing, and the caption is, "They've already written the ending when I'm just getting started." So a little bit of cryptic there, but again, is Nick Chubb in the picture still, do you think, with the Browns?
I do think that he is. And I think the longer that it goes that he hasn't found a new team, the more likely it is that he will sign back here with the Cleveland Browns. And I remember, a number of weeks ago before free agency, I did write that it could be the end here for Nick Chubb because I knew he was hitting the free agent market. And at that time, I thought there might be a chance that another team would pick him up and take a chance on him, but that hasn't happened. And because that hasn't happened, then I think it leaves the door open for the Browns to bring him back. I know that they know how important that is to the fans, how much they would love that. It would be times 10 how they felt about Joe Flacco coming back here. So I do think that there's a good chance you will see Nick back maybe after the draft.
And again, I don't think that precludes them from taking a draft reasonably early, or a running back rather, in the draft reasonably early. Would you agree?
I agree. I think they need to take a running back. I don't know what round they'll feel like they have to get that running back in. They don't have a 5th round pick right now unless they trade some of those 6th rounders and get back up into the 5th. But certainly they could take one maybe in the 3rd round or the 4th round. And I think it's very important for them to go ahead and do that. So they will get back to running the football this year with Jerome and whoever else that they bring in. And hopefully for fans and the Browns, Nick Chubb as well.
So they did make a roster move yesterday. They signed an edge rusher with some experience, Julian Okwara. And do you think that has any effect on what they do relative to the draft? It's a guy that was, I think, a 3rd round pick in 2020, has played a decent amount of NFL football and been somewhat productive.
I don't think that that would preclude them from drafting Abdul Carter if that's who they have in mind there. And I still think at this point, at number 2, they probably are still looking at Shedeur and Travis and Abdul Carter as the top 3 candidates there at this point. But if they decide to do something else or however they go about this, I just don't think that their new edge rusher will inform what they do with a younger draft pick. Maybe they'll come back and find one in the 2nd round. It's a pretty deep edge rusher draft. And that's a very premium position. If you can find one at a good spot, you'll grab him.
So we talked a little bit about Kenny Pickett last segment. I know you wrote an article, and he came out after Joe Flacco signed and said, I still plan on being the starting quarterback. I'm not going to Cleveland to hang out. Take us through that article and kind of the mindset that Kenny Pickett is approaching this with.
I thought it was very significant. When you couple with what Kenny Pickett said there with what the Browns said about him at the NFL annual meeting, where they were effusive in their praise of Kenny and talking about how they believe in him, and if he starts the season, they'll be totally cool with that. Then you hear Kenny say that he's still coming in here to be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, even though they have signed Joe Flacco. I think it's significant. I don't think he's just pulling that out of thin air. I think the Browns have given him every reason to believe that he can go out there and win this starting job. Of course, he has to win it. It's going to be a competition in camp amongst Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and whoever else they bring in. One rookie, two rookies, a rookie and a less experienced veteran, a younger guy, whoever that may be. I think it's going to be an open competition in camp. And I do think that Kenny intends fully to go out there and win the job.
All right, let's take a look. This is Mike Renner from CBS Sports mock draft for the Browns done today. He has the Browns going Travis Hunter at number 2. James Pearson, edge rusher, who some have in the first round. They have him sliding to 33. The Browns taking him. Caleb Johnson, a running back from Iowa, and then Kyle McCord, quarterback from Syracuse, going in the 4th round. And the names, does that seem about right, though? You look and you see you got a cornerback / playmaker in Hunter. You get a guy that's an edge rusher with some upside. You get the running back who's productive, and you get a quarterback. Does that seem about right in the first 4 picks?
I could see something like that from a position standpoint, for sure. That's probably, if I were to do my own Browns mock draft, I would probably have those same 4 positions in the first 4 in some fashion. So I do agree with that. And I don't think they can go wrong with some of those picks in some of those spots. I kind of am intrigued by Kyle McCord there in the 4th round. I think that would be pretty cool. I hear very, very good things about him. Going to be so interesting to see which one of these quarterbacks they end up with. There's that second tier, and then there's the 3rd tier where Kyle McCord fits in there and some of these other guys. So it just really is fascinating who they're going to end up with as a quarterback of the future.
Yeah, we've talked about this. When you look at it, do you think the roster, and I think we've thought this, I think you and I have both thought this, give me a running back, give me a wide receiver, give me another tight end, give me guys that when they get the ball in their hands, the defense is like, he's a problem. They need more problems for defenses with guys when they have the ball in their hand.
They do. They need more weapons. And all you have to do is look at the 15.2 points that they scored last season per game, last in the NFL, to know that they need more offensive weapons, a better scheme, a better running game, and you name it, just an upgrade overall. But they certainly need more weapons. I would be looking at another really good receiver. There are some excellent ones in this draft. The running back, it's very deep at running back. I would go and find another dual threat running back, someone who can really catch that ball out of the backfield. I think they actually need 2 running backs, maybe that bigger bruiser type of guy, and the shiftier, smaller guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. But certainly with 10 picks, you should be able to bolster your offense a lot.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, and I'm going to step aside, take one more time out. Other side of the break, we'll head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason, talk a little bit about number 2 in the draft. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns with Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave Frank from Cleveland. Just one quick thing. Is there any truth about that rumor the Browns might trade for Breece Hall? I seen it on the internet. I don't know if it's true or not. Can you look into that for me, brother? And I'll talk to you later.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Mary Kay, I can't see the Jets trading Breece Hall. You never know. He was banged up as a rookie, played pretty well a season ago.
I'm not sure. I really haven't heard anything about that. This is the time for those kinds of rumors. We hear all different kinds of things about who might get dealt on draft day and whatnot. Generally, those things don't end up happening all that often, but you never really know. I think that the Browns can just go out and draft a running back without having to give up a draft pick to acquire a running back. But I don't know if there's any truth to that rumor at all.
So this was Field Yates from ESPN, and kind of his perception of what he saw from Travis Hunter at that workout at Boulder that you were at.
With Travis Hunter, because I already had him as the number one player on my board, I said to myself, I'm okay with being blown away even more than I already was with the player. And I've used this analogy before, but, sitting there watching people from various organizations hone in on Travis Hunter, it looked like an adoring parent on the sideline of one of their kids' games, just like, in awe of what they were accomplishing in that moment, even though Travis Hunter was, in just cleats and a t-shirt and shorts, but such a natural mover, so sudden as well. I mean, effortless, his feet, the foot quickness is off the charts.
Again, Mary Kay, you were at that workout. Did you kind of get that vibe and just the way he moved? We heard he was as fluid as people have seen in a long time.
He moves a lot differently than most wide receivers that I've ever seen, just in terms of the footwork and the agility and just how quick and twitchy he is. It's really something to behold. And of course, if he becomes a Cleveland Brown, everybody will get an opportunity to see that right away. I mean, it is really something. If you haven't had a chance to watch him yet on film, go look at it a little bit, but to see it in person, it is really something to watch how he moves. And I haven't seen very many players like that before in all of my years.
So I know this was one of your Hey Mary Kay's curious to it. The fact that he came out today and said he wants to play both ways and will not be happy if he can't. Does that make him the most non-valuable non-quarterback in the draft, maybe in draft history?
I don't know if you can go that far. I don't know if you can say in draft history, because there have been a lot of very, very valuable non-quarterbacks that have been drafted. Jerry Rice and Lawrence Taylor, and the list goes on and on. There are plenty of them. And we don't know yet how this is going to turn out. But he certainly is unique. He certainly is a unicorn. If he can excel and maybe even make the Pro Bowl at both spots, then you're really going to be able to start talking about him in those terms. But as of right now, I'm not ready to give him that mantle yet.
So a lot of people have and it was probably spurred by Andrew Berry saying, can we get them both? Is there a dream scenario where, they can take Travis Hunter and find a way to get Shedeur Sanders, do you think?
I think it's unlikely. I think it's going to be tough to do that, especially now with the Giants at number 3, spending extra time with Travis at Colorado today, doing one of those last-minute private workouts, which usually are very, very meaningful. So I think it's going to be difficult. If the Giants don't take him at number 3, there is some talk that perhaps the Raiders could take him at 6, or the Saints could take him at 9, now with uncertainty over Derek Carr. So I don't really see a world in which the Browns would be willing to trade back up and give up whatever it would take to get him at one of those spots, when they could have just stayed put and taken him at number 2. So in my mind, unless he really takes a big unexpected tumble, I don't see it happening.
So the other thing is, we now know, the Browns, it's trending nationally, and who knows? Nobody will know and Andrew Berry, when he meets with the media, isn't going to tell us anything that leans that way. but it seems like it's trending towards Travis Hunter. Do you think it's still Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, and Abdul Carter? Are those three still all on the table?
I would say right now, yes. Again, I don't know. We don't know exactly what Andrew is thinking, and we are not going to know what Andrew is thinking when we talk to him on Thursday. And I know they love to have some confusion out there about what they're going to do. But I would say at this moment, those would be the three that you would be looking at there still.
Abdul Carter got rechecked, and his medical question kind of got checked off. He's good to go. Is that important to note for the Browns?
I don't think they were too worried about it in the first place, but certainly getting a clean bill of health just before the draft is a very, very good thing. So if they are seriously thinking about taking Abdul Carter, they can rest assured that the stress fracture is healing well. It's not going to need surgery, and that he should be totally fine for probably the OTAs, mini camp, and training camp.
Of the quarterbacks not named Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, who are you most intrigued with, and who do you think might fit the best with the Browns?
Well, one that I am very intrigued about when you get to that next tier is Jalen Milroe, just because he's so different. I don't know how the Browns have them ranked after the first two, but there's a lot to like about Jalen from a traits standpoint. You would have to fully commit to the bit, but I do think that the fact that he can run a 4.37, the fact that he has an incredibly strong arm, those are really, really good things to work with, to hone, and to develop. So, I mean, I do see some Lamar Jackson type traits in him, and nobody knew what to make of Lamar Jackson. So I'm not really quite sure why teams are so confused still about what to do about Jalen Milroe, but he's somebody that I would be seriously thinking about, especially if you could grab him at, say, number 33.
Yeah, if you think about it, the ceiling is probably as high as anybody, and the concern is the floor is probably pretty low. And I think that's probably the thing that you got to struggle with. Does Tommy Milroe, knowing him, that's got to be something that is invaluable at this point when you're trying to make a decision about him. Nobody will know him better than Tommy Rees.
Yes, Tommy Rees, not Tommy Milroe. They're not related. If they were related, then I think that, we could be rest assured that they would take him at number 33.
I'm joining them at the hip.
But no, I do think the fact that Tommy knows so much about him, likes him as a person. The Browns spent a whole lot of time with him at the Senior Bowl. They know him very well. They brought him in. I got the chance to talk to him. He's really a cool young man. There's a lot to like about him. And once again, you would be drafting him for those traits, and you would have to be willing to completely transform your offense for him. But you could probably do that a year down the road, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, if Kenny Pickett turns out to be what you hope he is, and that is a bridge that might last longer than even a year.
Is that, if you take a guy like Milroe, don't you have to have two guys that are veterans that have played, because you want to make sure that when you put him on the field, he's completely ready?
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that he is completely ready, and you want to take your time with it, because you are not just changing the quarterback position, you're changing everything around the quarterback position. You're changing scheme, you're changing supporting cast, and all of that kind of stuff. Everybody has to learn how to block for a guy like that, and it changes the whole paradigm of what you're doing offensively. But I still think that it would be worth taking a chance on, depending on where you could get him.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. As always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Mary Kay.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Mary Kay Cabot. Make sure you check her out. Always the best Browns coverage for the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We continue talking Browns. Fred Greetham from the Orange and Brown Report straight ahead. Stay with us.
Hey, the new Mega Millions is coming through any minute now.
It's here.
Bigger jackpots.
50 million?
50 million? New multiplier included.
Better odds?
Bigger wins. All for just
$5?
Let's go!
We continue talking Browns on Sports for CLE. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
This is Gene from North Carolina. Please do not trade down. Take best player available with the first 2 picks of your draft this year. 2, do not fall in love with Will Howard. Bad news. The guy is not the answer. Do not draft him. Don't get enamored because he went to Ohio State last year. And Tyler Shough, 1 year out of 7 that he actually stayed healthy in college. No, stay away from him as well. Please, don't screw things up. You finally made the right turn and are starting to go in the right direction. Take the best player available with number 2, take the best player available with 33, and then you can start looking to maneuver around to trade up to get another quarterback. But stay away from Will Howard, stay away from Tyler Shough. Thank you.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Fred Greetham, senior analyst for the Orange and Brown Report. And Fred, I just got done reading something before the show that trading down out of the top couple into the top 10 is going to be difficult because the values between 4 and 10 are pretty much the same. So nobody's going to want to trade up. And I don't know about you. It seems to me like it's trending towards Travis Hunter. But we haven't heard much from Andrew Berry. And even when Andrew Berry talks in a couple of days, I don't think he's going to tell us much.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't. He never does. But, I mean, the only GM I think that ever tipped off was Phil Savage. I mean, when they took Joe Thomas, he said something to the effect, we should probably just take, the best offensive lineman in the draft, and that's what they did. But, no, I just feel like between Carter and Hunter, you just feel, I mean, you'd love to have the pair with Garrett on defense. You just feel like you check more boxes with this offensive side. I keep coming back to the average 15 points a game last year on offense. You need more playmakers. And you got the top wide receiver who also happens to be the top cornerback. So even though he probably won't play full time both sides, you got somebody in key situations on both sides of the ball that can make plays on offense and defense. So, that takes you out of the quarterback discussion. It's like we've said, we've went back and forth here. Until you get the quarterback, you're really not, long-term gonna be somewhere. And if the guy regarded as the second best quarterback in the draft isn't what you think long-term is the answer, then you don't take him, or you feel there's 3 or 4 guys that are similar. But there's no guarantee you're going to get the quarterback you want if you don't take one at number 2.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I know you wrote an article. Brown signed Joe Flacco since the last time we talked. Signed him Friday. What does that do? What does that do for the quarterback situation in the draft this year and the future?
I don't think it does a whole lot. I think more than anything, it gives them insurance. I really felt that Flacco would be the default you would sign after the draft if you didn't get the guy you wanted, or you drafted Sanders, assuming Ward's gone, to be kind of a backup quarterback fighting with Kenny Pickett. And still feeling like if Kirk Cousins was out of the picture, by all accounts, it seems like he's out of the picture. But because of the money side, when you look at Flacco, $3 million guaranteed, and Pickett $2.6 million guaranteed, you're really not cost prohibitive to go in another direction if something became available like Cousins after the draft. But I do think that it was probably a smart move to not wait and then Flacco signed somewhere else and you really had no options other than maybe, I guess Carson Wentz is still available. One of those 2 guys. So I don't think you're tied to them. If I was to be a betting man, if it came down to Flacco and Pickett for the starter, I wouldn't be surprised if Pickett ends up being the starter. I don't think they're counting on Flacco to step back in and be the Joe Flacco that he was for 5 games. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't think it changes a lot. It just gives them a little more assurance that you have 2 veterans, a 40-year-old, 18-year veteran, and a 3-year, going into his 4th year veteran. And if you draft, a young guy that's not ready to start, like Jalen Milroe or even Jackson Dart, you don't have to throw him in there immediately. But I still think it doesn't mean you can't take Shedeur Sanders if he's your guy all along, because I don't think you were going to go into the season with just the rookie and Kenny Pickett. So that second veteran gives you a little more insurance. And as we see with the Browns, they go through, it seems like 4 or 5 quarterbacks a year. So odds are they'll end up playing them all anyway.
Yeah, in my mind, it makes certain that you don't have to take whomever you draft. You're taking a quarterback somewhere, 2, 33, 67, 94, wherever. That guy doesn't have to play until you deem him ready to face NFL competition. Mike Greenberg, Peter Schrager on ESPN's Get Up today talking about who they think the second quarterback taken in the NFL draft might be.
At ESPN Bet 3 weeks ago, Shedeur Sanders was minus 1,600 to be the second quarterback selected in the draft. As of today, that number has dropped to minus 225. And look at Jackson Dart's numbers, continuing to drop, continuing to drop. Does this mean, Peter Schrager, that, well, I mean, I don't even know why I'm asking you this in the form of a question. This means there are people who think there is a real possibility that not only does Shedeur Sanders not go first amongst the quarterbacks in this draft, he doesn't even go second.
I haven't spoken to anyone who's got Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. I don't have anyone who has told me, you know what, we're Jackson Dart team. That said, I don't have anyone who's doing flips over Shedeur Sanders either. It's a really interesting draft right now. Cam Ward has aced this entire process. I believe he will go first overall to the Titans. The intrigue starts at who's the next quarterback taken. And as we see here by ESPN Bet, it looks like there is some discussion. But I wouldn't be shocked if we came in the Friday morning after the draft and, I don't know, Jalen Milroe was the second quarterback taken because someone had a subset package.
You're just saying that casually?
Yeah, I'm saying it casually. I'm saying I don't know.
Tyler Shuck?
Tyler Shuck.
There are people who love him.
There are people who have said that Tyler Shuck is the best pure thrower of a football. So if that is what you are looking for, Tyler Shuck could be it.
And he's big and he runs a 4.6.
But he's 25 years old
right.
And he's coming off an ACL from a year ago. So everyone's got their warts in this thing.
And Fred, the question becomes, who do you envision in your system as being the guy who fits the best?
Well, and it goes back to, I mean, when we started this process after the season, when we knew the Browns would have the second pick, is what quarterback, if any, do the Browns really like the best, and what system? It appears they're going back to more of the Kevin Stefanski system that we would say that he ran his first 4 years, because they traded DTR and got Kenny Pickett, seems to be more of a pocket passer. Joe Flacco, more of a pocket passer. So if you think Shedeur Sanders is that pocket passer, there's a guy there. Or Jackson Dart. Or Shook. Milroe seems like you would be more in the mindset of what you were trying to do with Deshaun Watson. Go back more to the, mobile quarterback and so forth. So I really don't know until they come out of this draft what exactly they're going to do. You want to adapt, but it seems like one of the problems before is you had 2 different type quarterbacks on your team and you were trying to run 2 different systems. We know they were running the Deshaun Watson system, and then Flacco came in and they kind of moved to a different system. So now you're starting with an overhauled room. So it really comes down to who do you like the best, and are you going to be able to get them or dictate that? So, they've done a good job just, keeping it in the dark as far as what they're playing, and that's what they should do. But just by the moves they made with the quarterbacks they brought in, Pickett and Flacco, would tell me they're going to try to go back more to that pocket passer, play action pass, with the wide zone, running game.
Fred Greetham, senior analyst from the Orange and Brown Report. Now I'm going to step aside, take a quick time out. We will continue talking Browns draft. Sports for CLE. Be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns with Fred Greetham, senior analyst for the Orange and Brown Report. Tony Grossi, longtime Browns beat reporter, on who he thinks the Browns would pick if they were looking at Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe, same spot in the draft.
You think the Browns would rather have Milroe than Dart?
I think so. And I think from the very start of this process, he was in their focal point. Yeah. And I think they've liked them more as they've been exposed to him more.
So Dart, they would have to take at 33 or move up. Dart's going to be gone by the time they pick at 67.
Oh, yeah. I think Milroe, too.
Some people have Milroe as a late first-round pick, and some people have him as a fourth-round pick. He's a very polarizing prospect.
I know that. He's the classic boomer bust. You take him, you're either going to look brilliant or look stupid. And that's the risk. I mean, a lot of teams don't want anything to do with that. But I think the Browns have liked Milroe.
Fred, the one thing, and I said it a little bit earlier in the show, they have more information on Jalen Milroe than anybody because of Tommy Rees.
Yeah, I mean, at his introductory press conference, he was asked a question about Jalen Milroe. So they've been linked the whole time, and it really comes down, but you don't really know what they think of him. Do they really like him? Or no, I know him, I know all his warts. I would tend to think they do like him. In fact, my most recent projection is them passing Sanders at 2, not being able to trade up, and just staying at 33 and taking Milroe. That is if he's there. I do think they like Dart and Milroe. If it came down, they had their choice on both. I don't know which one they'd take, but I'm leaning that it would be Milroe as well. So we'll see. I mean, it's what happens. You never know, because one of them or both of them get drafted. They're never going to say we would have taken him. That's who we wanted. Whoever they end up with is the guy they wanted all along. You've been there. Yep. They all say that stuff. So yeah, I think, though, if you do the Milroe, then you really have to kind of commit to that style. And he, to me, of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks, is the least NFL ready. And you might put together a package for him to run or things like that. But I think you got to be ready to, put in some time and develop him. And so I think Tommy Rees would be the one to say, he's got it, we can do this. Or he might say, I tried to do some things. I just don't know if he'll ever get to the point in the NFL, to be NFL ready to do what we want. So, yeah, it's anybody's guess still, in my opinion.
So Travis Hunter, we talked about how the Browns are linked to him. This is from an interview with CBSSports.com. He was asked about the Browns. He said, it's up to them to want me on their team. I want the organization to believe they can let me do exactly what I want to do. That's play both sides of the ball and be the same Travis I was in college and better. Don't believe in wishing to be the second overall pick. If it is up to me, I'd be the first overall pick. I'm blessed to be the best player in this, one of the best players in the draft in this class, so I'm blessed to be where I'm at. He also said he wouldn't play football if an NFL team tries to limit him to just one side of the football. I get where he's coming from, and I've heard Pat Shurmur mention that the NFL isn't as, it's slowed down relative to the Big 12. The one thing that concerns me it is a physical pounding. And you've been on the sidelines. We've both been on the sidelines. Television does not show you how physical playing defensive back on the line. The NFL, I mean, those are car crashes. There's 80 car crashes that these guys are in every game. Every game, every snap is a car crash in the NFL. And I just don't know if you can take 60, 70, 80 snaps a game if a body can hold up with that. Whoever's body it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And I think he's, listed at 188. That would be, one of the lightest ever taken that high. For him to say that he's not going to do it, what's he going to do after he's drafted? Just not play. But I mean, that's why he's being talked about as one of the top 3 players, if not number 1 or number 2, is because of the uniqueness of being able to play both sides of the ball. You could argue he's the best wide receiver, but I've seen draft list of just wide receivers, and he's not the best. And I've seen even on the cornerback side that he's one of the best, but maybe not the best. But you put the two together, and that's where you get that. So a team, if he was just a cornerback, I doubt if he'd be taken 2 overall. But because he has that playmaking ability to play offense, a team would be crazy not to use that, especially, when the game's on the line, you need a drive to win. I think he's going to be on the field on offense. Same way on defense. When you need a stop, I think he's going to be on the field to make a stop. So I don't know if he needs to play every down. You can be judicious, whether that's more on offense or more on defense. But I think packages and situations, obviously passing downs on both sides, would be the best way all the way around to use him. And, he's got the talent and so forth to do it. So that's why, he's being, if he was strictly just one or the other, I don't know if the Browns would take him with the 2 pick, because you can solve 2 premium positions, wide receiver and cornerback. Doesn't mean they have to play every down. But to your point, 188 pounds or whatever he is, I think hopefully he's picked up some things from Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders wasn't known for being a physical tackler. He was a pass coverage. That was his forte. And that's what you want Denzel Ward. You worry about Denzel Ward because he's more of a cover guy, and he gets in trouble when he tries to make the hits. So hopefully on defense that Hunter would be the guy that go out and make the play, make interceptions, but don't try to tackle the 250-pound line fullback or tight end or whatever. Grab him by the jersey and wrestle him out of bounds. So I think that'll sort itself out. But I think he's a playmaker. That's why I lean that he can help you on the defense as you need, but he can really help you on offense.
So, assuming that the Browns don't come away from this draft, and it is an assumption, with a franchise quarterback, what do they have to find in this draft for this draft to be considered a success if they don't get the franchise quarterback?
Well, I don't know with these guys, all of them. I don't know the quarterbacks if even on the draft, if you're going to feel like you got the franchise quarterback, maybe Cam Ward, but you're not going to get him. So I think it's playmakers, especially in offense. The deep parts of the draft, there's a number of running backs. There's 5 in the top 45, according to NFL.com. You have 2 picks in there. And then there's a number below that. You need to get a home run hitting running back. You need to get in no particular order, I would say a home run hitting tight end. There's a number of them. They brought in a bunch of those. On defense, I think an edge rusher. There's in the top 27. That's why I lean more to Hunter, by the way. In the top 27 players out of the top 50, according to NFL.com, Daniel Jeremiah, 7 are edge rushers. So the Browns have not only the 2 pick, but 33. There's 7 edge rushers in the top 27. So you ought to be able to get a first-round edge rusher. It might not be Abdul Carter, but you can get somebody that can pair up with Myles Garrett, whoever it is you like. Plus, there's 10 overall, that are in the top 50. So 20% of this draft in the top 50 players are edge rushers. So I think you get a cornerback and a wide receiver with Hunter. Then those other ones, running back, tight end, edge rusher, are premier positions. And I think you got some playmakers all the way around.
Yep, you get me 2-3 playmakers, and I'm happy. I'm with you. Fred Greetham, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Fred.
Thanks, Dave.
Fred,
talk about it again.
Sounds good. Fred Greetham, make sure you check him out. He is the senior analyst for the Orange and Brown Report. Always very good Browns coverage. Make sure you check him out with the Orange and Brown Report. It's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We will see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow at 4 on Sports for CLE.